Right after the Apple event ended, I made a video about the iPad mini saying it was the device I was most excited to see from that event. That's right, not even the iPhone 13 got me as excited as the redesigned iPad mini. And today, some reviews came out. So let's watch them together. I haven't seen any of these. I want to react as I see them, give you my feedback. I did a video like this with about the iPhone 13 the other day, and you guys and gals really seem to like it. So let's do it again. And we'll start it right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. And today we're going to watch some iPad mini reviews. I can't tell you how hyped I am about the iPad mini, the redesign. So let's get right into it. So first up, we're going to check on my man, Emkwan. Let me tell you something. If I ever make it to Abu Dhabi, I'm hanging out with this dude. He has an incredible life, an incredible YouTube channel, and he got the iPad mini sent to him by Apple. So let's take a look at this review.
Apple's redesigned brand new iPad mini is here, and in this video I'm gonna unbox it and talk to you about it. The brand new iPad mini, 6th generation, in this beautiful purple color. There it is at the back, 256 GB. This is the Wi-Fi and cellular, and we also have two of the smart folio cases.
Now, I ordered the smart folio case just because I wanted to get something quick, but I'll tell you right now, most of the cases that you can buy for your iPad, iPad mini, or whatever, if you go to Amazon, you can get really cheap versions that pretty much feel the same. There is a bit of a fit and finish that's slightly better on Apple devices, but it's rarely worth the extra money.
Wow, that is small. That is certainly mini. This is the iPad mini. You also get inside.
I'm also going to talk a little bit about the size of the iPad mini. I'm going to wait to see some people talk about it in the reviews, but for me, that's what makes the iPad mini my favorite iPad of all time. Like, of all the iPads I've owned, even my iPad Pro, which I use to edit videos on this channel, the iPad mini has always been my favorite, and it has a lot to do with the form factor. And now that it finally looks a little different and they've given it a boost several places that we'll talk about, I'm amped.
And for that, you'll also get the 3-pinned, in this part of the world, USB-C.
I think it's hilarious that tablets and such still get the power adapter, but phones don't. I guess Apple is assuming that maybe you have never bought an iPad before, so you don't have the charging brick, but they do assume that you have had an iPhone before. So it's just mixed messaging to me.
Power brick. So most of us were super surprised when Apple started talking about the iPad.
Yeah, hit subscribe on Emkwan and then hit subscribe on me. I'm going to be doing a bunch of reviews on the iPad mini. I'm super excited when I get it. We're definitely, if you want some iPad mini content, you're going to get it here.
Pads at the iPhone event, but even more so when they showed off what they'd done to the iPad mini in terms of design, because it fundamentally looks very different from the previous generation of the iPad mini, but at the same time, it looks very similar to the current lineup of the iPad Air. And this purple color is actually really nice, not too bright. In fact, in some lighting, it actually looks gray.
Now, they did this with the iPad Air, where the lighting and the color of the actual tablet is so subtle that you almost don't see the color that it's meant to be. I'm unsure why Apple has been doing this lately. If you look at some of the iPad Air reviews from last year, you'll notice that the color that you see in the marketing is quite a bit different than what you see it in person, or as the reviewers will see. And here, at this angle, this doesn't even look purple to me. So I like the colors that they've chosen for the tablets, but once you get them, they don't really necessarily look that color.
Now, looking around the device at the bottom there, you'll notice that you have a USB-C.
USB-C, bro, let's go. I'm like, come on. USB-C, all the things. Finally, we're seeing this on the iPad mini. Now, the weird thing about the iPad mini is it tends to get like the top processor, and which is weird, because every time I talk to someone about the new iPad and iPad mini, it's hard for them to put it in their mind that the smaller device is actually the more powerful device. You would think that the larger iPad would be more powerful, when in actuality, it's the other way around. The larger iPad is cheaper and does not have the A15 processor, which this does, including USB-C and Apple Pencil 2 support, which, man, I can't even begin. We'll get to that in a minute.
Also have dual speakers, both at the bottom and then they're at the top.
That's important because so many iPads, especially the cheaper ones, don't have stereo speakers. And, you know, when you see those in the reviews, you don't think too much about it. Go, oh, the speaker's on one side. But when you're actually like holding it and watching content, it makes a huge difference. Having stereo speakers is clutch.
What you'll notice is the Touch ID power button incorporation has also been moved to the top.
And I'm totally cool with that. The Touch ID on the power button is great. I actually would love to have Face ID like you do on the iPad Pro, but I understand that they're trying to... Actually, I don't understand. Apple, why? Is it because you think that should be for higher end device? I don't really even I don't understand that. I don't.
The redesign has also forced the volume rocker to be placed at the top there as well.
That's weird to have the volume on top. I don't think I'm gonna like that because the power being on top and volume rocker being on top is weird. By the way, my comment about Face ID, I want to mention that, yeah, I get it. You need to have like the little strip if you want true Face ID, but I mean, why not just have like Face Unlock? I know that Apple doesn't want to do the less secure thing, I guess, but I don't know. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Would you accept a less secure Face Unlock for something like the iPad mini?
Now, interesting, this year, there are no keyboard cases for the iPad mini. I'm not sure why Apple have decided against that. Perhaps it's too small for it.
Or maybe they're going to come out with one, because with that magnetic back, it's just like the iPad Pro. This is like a mini iPad Pro, except with not an M1 or M1X or M2 processor. Now, as a reminder, the A15 will be the basis of the next M processor. Some people go in the comments that, oh, it would have been great to have an M1 processor. Well, technically, this is the next generation of that with less GPU cores. Having said that, with a magnetic back, I wonder what's going to come. Certainly, I would expect Logitech to come out with some keyboard cases, but in this particular case, maybe a mini Magic Keyboard? Question mark?
P3 color gamut support, True Tone, and also 500 nits of brightness.
That's going to be great. I'm actually looking forward to this. It is kind of interesting to see the borders around it. You have to remember that the screen size is actually bigger than the older iPad mini, so you kind of give that a pass, but I mean, you will see the borders. And by the way, you could have put a Face ID in that thick border.
Something called Center Stage. Now, there are a range of different apps that support this. Zoom is one of them.
Oh, I actually didn't know Zoom supported Center Stage. That's really useful considering how much zooming I do nowadays. You guys use Zoom?
Well, so it goes for all the way from 1x through to about 5x, and some pretty decent shots as well. Now, one of the benefits of that wide front-facing selfie camera is, and I probably wouldn't vlog with this, but if you do need it for video, I mean, look at that. It does a very good job. I'm
actually surprised by the picture quality and video quality of the iPad mini. Now, I don't think I'm ever going to use it for that. Obviously, FaceTime calls I will. But I'm a little surprised by this. You could be a little mobile creator with the iPad mini, because especially with LumaFusion, a USB-C, and the power of the A15, this is a mobile kind of media center. I love it. Next up is my man, Nikias. Let me tell you, this kid is so talented. He lives in Spain, super cool guy. And his videos are quite cinematic. So let's see what he has to say about the iPad mini. Wow. Well, I'm not trying to get no copyright claims. Bro, like, how much did he spend to make this review? What the heck? Okay, I don't even know how he did this. I know that a drone must be involved, but it flipped upside down and stuff, and I am now quitting YouTube. I'm quitting YouTube. I'm done. I'm done. Oh, I'll watch this first.
I love this iPad. I can't wait to actually check it out. Let's do this. Okay, here we go. This is the purple iPad mini. Actually, before we actually check this out, let me show you the iPad mini Smart Folio. Holy crap. Okay, so this is the size of the iPad mini.
It seems like Apple is sending out a lot of purple iPad minis. I wonder why that is.
This thing is so adorable. It is so freaking incredibly small.
Actually, I might have to get the purple after all, because, you know, with GadgetCast being GadgetCast Purple, my podcast that I do with Greg from Greg's Gadgets, I kind of like the purple. I'm starting to vibe on the purple.
iPad mini finally has that iPad Pro, iPad Air-like design. It's got the all-screen edge-to-edge display.
Okay, by the way, Apple's edge-to-edge display is a little bit misleading here. There's a thick ass bezel on this thing. The thing is thick with 2 C's.
Holy crap! Oh my gosh. Look at this tiny little iPad mini. Here's the real question. Does the iPad mini fit in my pocket? I've actually got quite a big, yes! Holy crap, the iPad mini actually fits in my pocket.
That's pretty dope. If you have a jacket with a kind of one of those bigger pockets like Nikias here does, that's pretty dope. It's a kind of a use case there. You gotta remember, Nikias is doing kind of a first, just an unboxing here. And I gotta tell you, he loves Apple so much. I love Nikias. His energy is amazing. And he does some really cool content about being a student and using like iPads and stuff. So make sure you subscribe to his channel and check that out as well.
And such a powerful note-taking device. And the iPad mini is literally so small, so you can literally grab your Apple Pencil and look at this. Look at this right here. This is literally the ultimate note-taking device.
I agree. And the thing is, I use my Apple Pencil for editing on my iPad Pro. And I hadn't even thought about the fact that they might actually have Apple Pencil support with the 2nd generation Apple Pencil. And again, one of the biggest things about the 2nd generation is that it magnetically attaches to the iPad. That's also how it pairs and how it charges. So it's incredibly convenient. It makes this thing such an amazing tablet.
You've also got 5G plus the A15 Bionic.
All right, so for 5G, I talked about this in a previous video. You don't necessarily need to get the 5G version of a tablet since most of the iPhones have a wireless hotspot feature built in that allows you to connect directly to your other Apple devices without a whole bunch of fuss. Now, if your phone service doesn't allow you to have hotspotting, of course, different story, but it might save you some money in the times where you don't have access to Wi-Fi and you only need a little bit of data. Rather than buying a whole nother phone line and paying more money for the iPad mini, you can just hotspot.
This is so cute and small. If we're talking about speeds like internet, 5G is incredible. And then the A15 Bionic chip, this thing is literally so powerful and so tiny. And I absolutely fallen in love with this tiny iPad.
I love Nikias, but his point is very valid. This is now one of the most powerful iPads in the lineup, which is kind of crazy because it's the smallest as well. So while it has definitely some more power than aspects of the previous iPad Pro even, I mean, as far as the generation of the processor goes, you're going to find that it will probably outperform the iPad Pro in some things and not others, which is weird to say. Now, I'll be testing that theory as I get mine. I'll be putting up against my iPad Pro, so if you make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. And let's get on to our final creator. Finally, my dude Andru, who is actually local to me, is reviewing the iPad mini here. He does all types of content. Make sure you check out the link to his channel in the description below. Great guy who lives like 20 minutes from me and never invites me to his house. Let's watch his video.
6th generation iPad mini, I literally stood up out of my chair and covered my mouth with my hand. After sitting without an update for about 3 years, the iPad mini was back with an all-new design and I was hyped.
And this is the thing, people were excited for this, and for people who don't understand why there's so much excitement behind this is because it's really the first time it's ever been redesigned. The iPad mini was kind of like the redheaded stepchild of iPads. As a matter of fact, there was one generation when it went from the iPad mini 2 to the iPad mini 3 where the only update was Touch ID. That's it. No processor bump, no nothing. They just slapped on Touch ID and called it good.
I've owned every iPad Apple has ever released. Every standard iPad, every iPad Air, iPad mini, and iPad Pro. Actually, I think I've owned every product that Apple's released over the past 16 years.
I mean, the dude owns a lot of Apple stuff.
The iPad has been a part of my life for over a decade in all of its shapes and sizes. And if there's one opinion that I stand behind, it's this. The iPad mini is the true iPad.
I told you, anyone who's used the iPad and an iPad mini know that this is the form factor that just stands above all the others. And again, it is a smaller version, and you might just think, why are you guys so hyped about something that's smaller, especially when the phones are getting bigger? It just seems to be the perfect size, and now with this new design with a larger screen for the same size iPad, it's just Hypesville. I'm sorry, what do you want from me?
Let me explain. If you want a mobile tablet that you can very easily hold and manipulate with one hand, and that's small enough to fit in the back pocket of your jeans, a purse, or the inner pocket of your jacket, that's the iPad mini.
If you're on your couch watching TV and you need to look up something because you want to know who the actor or actress is on the screen, The iPad mini is the perfect size. It's not this thing you have to wield like a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, or even the 10.2 inch is still a little bit unwieldy at times. If you just need something quick, you pick up the mini and you're good to go.
Along with the USB-C port for charging and faster data transfers, up to 5 gigabits per second.
Which means it's not Thunderbolt, but it is fast. And let me tell you something, it's much faster than Lightning. Much faster.
The star of the show from a visual perspective has to be the new, larger 8.3-inch liquid Retina display.
So yeah, you're getting pretty much the same size iPad with a slightly larger display in that same form factor, as I said before. I love that.
The display also supports True Tone, P3 wide color. It's laminated.
The one thing that would make this perfect, and this is a comment that I saw a lot after my last iPad mini video, is if it had 120 hertz and it was OLED. But if it did, this thing would be a lot more expensive.
The volume buttons are dynamic. The controls for turning the volume up or down will be intuitive regardless of which way you're holding the iPad.
Oh, I like that. So basically they're looking at the orientation of the iPad and then adjusting which button does what. Those are those little quality of life improvements that make this a pretty awesome experience.
I just find taking notes to be so much faster when typing, but I absolutely wish I was one of those people who could take handwritten visual notes the way Apple will show them in screenshots.
Yeah, and that's true. So I actually use the Apple Pencil specifically for editing on my timeline. But that's really the only reason I use it. So if you're wondering if you should get an Apple Pencil, I think you should just go to the Apple store if it's there, if you have one near you, and kind of play around with one. You may not actually use it, even though it's a great kind of companion to the iPad mini or any iPad. It's a little spendy, and if you're not taking notes or drawing or doodling, then it's probably not worth your money.
Let's talk performance. The 6th generation iPad mini is rocking Apple's latest A15 Bionic chip with Neural Engine. That's a 40% performance increase compared to the previous generation iPad mini.
Now we'll see if we ever see that performance come to light, because really, to be honest, to have that really make any sense to you and actually see that, games and apps will have to take advantage of it specifically, and maybe even to the detriment of older iPads. And I just don't see that happening. I think what you're going to see is just a slightly snappier performance against older iPads and iPad minis, but I'm unsure if even this versus last year's iPad mini or last version's iPad mini is going to be that great of a difference in day-to-day use.
$499 with 64 gigabytes of storage.
And there's kind of the last thing. So many people were asking, why is it $500? Obviously, all the technology you've seen is the reason why. But what's most interesting is the 64 gig kind of selection there when all the phones got to 128. And, you know, listen, for $500 on an iPad, I think you should get 128 gigs. I'm not going to defend their decision to do that. I feel like you should have 128 gigs on this. So that's the one thing I'm kind of disappointed on. I'm not disappointed that it doesn't have mini LED or OLED or 120 hertz. That's not my disappointment. My disappointment is storage. Thankfully, I won't be using a lot of that storage anyway, since I'm mostly going to be using it to stream, and I'll just have a couple of apps on there, so it's not going to be a big deal to me. But for something that's supposed to be so powerful and so useful, having the base of 64 seems kind of, I don't know, contrarian, like it's opposite of what you would expect. So if you're interested in more iPad mini coverage, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, because I'm going to be bringing my own thoughts when I receive mine later on, and hopefully I'll have a bunch of different videos for you. So leave me a comment below what type of things you want me to cover here on the channel. Check out one of these other videos, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love.